Vycor Medical is a leading neuroscience technology company that develops game-changing tools focusing on minimally invasive surgical solutions. Traditional methods for brain access and retraction have not changed in over 50 years, until now. Vycor's VBAS provides safer, quicker access to targets in the brain. VBAS offers surgeons a minimally invasive approach and allows them to perform procedures that were previously considered inoperable because the targets were in areas that were too challenging and risky to reach. Quicker surgeries and faster recovery time saves the hospital money and provides for better patient outcomes. Peer-reviewed studies by some of the most prestigious hospitals in the U.S., like Johns Hopkins University, the Cleveland Clinic, and the University of Illinois, have named VBAS as minimally invasive. They state deep-seated intraaxial lesions have always been challenging to approach surgically. In the past, many deep-seated and centrally located tumors and vascular malformations were considered inoperable. With VBAS, some of these operations may now be possible. Researchers discovered that VBAS with image guidance has several advantages over previous designs, and when inserted carefully, it mobilizes tissue by separation rather than destruction. Experts call VBAS the first commercially available tubular retractor system specifically designed for intracranial applications.
VBAS makes reaching those targets safer. The smooth and transparent texture of the plastic that is used there allows us to get better visualization deep inside the brain. We reduce operating room time by getting to the target in a significantly faster period of time. The operating time is the most expensive part of the procedure, so the price of device is definitely paid many times over by the savings it provides.
The use of regular retractors, if you can imagine, is just a blade. So when you go deep into the brain, usually you need to use 2 or sometimes even 3 to create your room and space like a corridor to go through the brain tissue into the target. Minimally invasive surgery is very important because that brings less morbidity for patients.
The VBAS can be used for a variety of surgical solutions, including the removal of shrapnel or bullets. A recent case of a shooting victim in New York is an example of how surgeons now have the ability to reach areas in the brain that were otherwise too risky to access without causing further damage. If bullet fragments were left in the victim's brain, he would likely face a future of seizures, infection, and vision loss. In a typical procedure, the surgeon would have to go through normal brain tissue and hunt for the bullet fragments or specks. This causes a great deal of trauma to the brain. But Vycor's VBAS device presents a safer solution. In fact, according to the surgeon, this procedure would not have been attempted without the VBAS.
It's definitely minimally invasive. It's transparent, it's tubular in shape, and that allows us to reach areas that would be otherwise either not reachable or would be very dangerous to reach. So, for example, when it was used for removal of bullets or shrapnel or other foreign objects of the brain, the retractor actually protects the brain.
Well, it's no question as they will have less damage on the brain tissue because you're not creating your own damage to get into the problem. And in general, they will recover much faster than the standard technique.
I guess the entire field was waiting for this ingenious development.
Nova Vision has been the pioneer in the research and development of science-driven medical technologies that have clinical support to demonstrate they improve vision in patients with neurological vision impairments resulting from stroke or traumatic brain injury, TBI. According to the CDC, every 40 seconds, someone has a stroke, and nearly 2 million people sustain a traumatic brain injury per year in the U.S. alone. The stroke associations estimate there are 8 million stroke survivors in the United States. Approximately 16% of stroke and TBI survivors suffer some form of permanent vision loss. Most of these survivors have been told there is nothing that can be done to restore their vision. Until now. Vision restoration therapy, or VRT, is the only FDA-cleared medical therapy that has been shown to improve vision from neurological traumas such as stroke or TBI. As such, Nova Vision reaches an enormous unmet need in the rehabilitation market.
Up to now, we have a number of rehabilitation interventions for people with strokes or traumatic brain injury, such as physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. But visual therapy has really been neglected for many years. And it is this area where Nova Vision and vision restoration therapy plays a very important role.
There is an increasing awareness that science should focus on trying to address these needs. Nova Vision has one of the very few that have actually been appropriately developed for that purpose. And I think is by far the company with the greatest experience in that realm. Thank you.
Nova Vision is supported by over 15 years of research and 20 clinical studies from some of the most respected institutions in the world. Scientists have found evidence that vision restoration is based on a concept called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to create new connections.
What the plasticity means is that the brain is capable of finding pathways, finding ways that were there before.
These studies also show a promising success rate in restoring one's vision and overall quality of life.
I have treated a number of patients, and I have found that about 70% of my patients respond to this therapy. And those that do respond have an average improvement of about 5 degrees. And this translates into improved mobility, avoidance of obstacles, avoidance of collisions, improved reading.
One such survivor is retired California physician Ramon Moncada.
I woke up on the floor. I had no idea what happened. I had a stroke. The result of the stroke was that there was no vision on the right visual fields. That is, if I looked straight ahead, the whole right side would be black. The visual loss was probably permanent, and there was nothing to be done about it. I found out about Nova Vision visual restoration therapy. I did start seeing progress in terms of what I was seeing in the screen. It made me feel great that I had actually improved and that I was actually able to do things that I was not doing very well before. I took a driver's license exam and I passed it with no problem.
Another is 28-year-old Detroit salesman Dan Burke.
I had a brain aneurysm and it caused me to have 2 strokes. Biggest challenges, first off, to me was driving, watching television, completing daily tasks, creating tasks around the house was very difficult. I went to a neuro-ophthalmologist, and that doctor told me, after doing many tests, the way you see now is the way you are going to see for the rest of your life. When doctors tell you that you will never see for the rest of your life, you're going to do whatever you can to see again. After performing the therapy for about 3 to 6 months in between there, my vision started becoming unblurry. I could start to see sharper and sharper and sharper. That's when I knew that the Nova Vision was working. Imagine yourself being completely blind, your vision's so blurry you can't make out the big E at the eye doctor. But after performing the therapy, now you can see. It's a great product. I've recommended this therapy many times. Nova Vision can improve your quality of life.
These Nova Vision success stories continue to raise awareness about this unique product and its life-changing potential in the United States and around the world.
Publicly traded on the OTCQB, VYCO is just under $2 a share and has a net cash balance of $3.5 million as of June 30th. This is anything but a fly-by-night microcap stock. VYCO's product are considered game changers and are growing in acceptance. They benefit from limited competition. The target markets are large and profitable, with Novavision alone addressing a $2 billion market in the US and $13 billion worldwide. VYCO has a strong patent portfolio with 40 granted patents and 15 pending approval. VYCO also has significant published clinical data, an established international footprint, and a world-class scientific advisory team. VBAS next-generation technology from VYCO evenly disperses brain tissue and reduces pressure, accurately targets sites with no target shift, provides a stable, superior field of view, clear working channel, less invasive, requires a smaller opening, IGS and interoperative MRI compatible, no reported injuries with VBAS. Hospital acceptance. Approved for use in approximately 170 U.S. hospitals such as Johns Hopkins Hospital, New York Presbyterian University Hospital of Columbia, Weill Cornell Medical College, NYU Langone Medical Center, Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, and Stanford Hospital and Clinic. Clinical studies. Journal of Neurosurgery Pediatrics paper by Pablo Recinos of Cleveland Clinic and George Gallo of Johns Hopkins. Minimally invasive neurosurgery paper by Mr. Quiñones Hinoza of Johns Hopkins. 2 papers by Daniel Prevedello of Ohio State University Hospital. Surgical Technology International paper by Konstantin Slavin of the University of Illinois in Chicago. 3D endoscopic papers by Antonio Bernardo of Weill Cornell Medical Center. Significant new clinical data is also anticipated through 2015. VYCO saves lives. Previously inoperable, now operable. Her case would have been inoperable via traditional surgery because she was taking Avastin, of which delays surgical wound healing. The VBAS minimally invasive nature enabled the surgeon to gain access to the target through only a 3-centimeter incision. The patient was discharged uneventfully and there were no issues regarding her wound, quoted Daniel Prevedello, MD, director of the minimally invasive cranial surgery program at The Ohio State University. We would not have attempted this without this technology. It's very exciting. Bullet fragment removal. Narayan Sadrisan, MD, Chief Neurosurgeon, Lincoln Hospital, and Professor at Mount Sinai, New York City. VYCO has proven their product's effectiveness in inoperable procedures, thus saving lives. Saving hospitals money. Surgeon discussions have shown that VBAS can offer savings for hospitals. Feedback has indicated that VBAS can reduce the operating time by 30 to 60 minutes per procedure. It has shortened discharge times by around a day. VYCO products have saved thousands of dollars per procedure. Strategy-driven results. U.S. market penetration. Greater clinical and scientific data. New product development. Increased focus on international. VYCO's 4 values to increase VBAS revenue and shareholder value. U.S. market penetration. Well-defined target market of 3,500 neurosurgeons who are aggressively marketed to with clinical data. Strengthening and broadening of the distributor network. Drive product usage beyond deep and difficult procedures. Focused on key teaching hospitals. Clinical and scientific data. Increase the number of peer-reviewed papers supporting VYCO's product superiority. Develop hard clinical data supporting cost-benefit and reduced white matter damage. Address surgeon pigeonholing of the product by developing clinical evidence as to the product's broader applicability. New product development. Significant new product pipeline to drive adoption and enable greater applicability. 2 smaller VBAS devices of particular relevance for endoscopic ventricular surgery. New IGS-compatible devices. International expansion. Greater focus on international markets, target countries where it has patent protection and/or a clear regulatory path. Utilize distributors with experience in neurosurgical devices. VYCO has full regulatory approval in Australia, Canada, China, Europe, Korea, and Japan. The company is also seeking or has partial regulatory approvals in Brazil, India, Korea, Russia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Limited competition. VYCO has 198,000 addressable procedures in the U.S. currently, 1 million globally. VBAS market potential of 120 million in the U.S. and 424 million globally. Future potential, including future product extensions, will increase addressable number of procedures to 1.6 million procedures globally, 700 million of total VBAS potential. VBAS is both an access system and retractor, therefore has limited direct competition. High margin, high contribution. 1 unit ASP in US, 579. Net, 388. Cost of goods sold, 25. Net contribution after cost of goods sold, taxes and commissions, 394. On a 15% U.S. market share, that's 11.7 million. VYCO's NovaVision subsidiary. Patients with visual field deficits resulting from stroke, brain injury, or other neurological trauma are eligible for treatment with NovaVision's therapies. There are approximately 8 million stroke survivors in the U.S., with approximately 480,000 new stroke survivors each year. 28% of stroke victims suffer from visual disorders. 20% experience permanent visual field deficits. NovaVision has a suite of therapies that can address these conditions. VRT is the only FDA-cleared therapy targeted at the restitution of lost vision from neurologically induced vision loss. VYCO's target market for NovaVision is estimated at $2 billion in the US, $2 billion in Europe, and $13 billion globally. Significant unmet need. Vision loss from stroke and TBI is an extremely underaddressed issue. While speech, physical, and occupational therapies are well established for stroke patients, to date, there has been no way of comprehensively addressing lost vision. NovaVision focuses on the critical missing therapy. Lost vision significantly impacts a patient's ability to function, read, drive, and be independent. Visual field deficit is a major inhibitor to daily living. NovaVision's VRT is the only commercially available FDA-cleared therapy for restoration of vision loss from neurological damage. Built upon 15 years of clinical research and over 20 clinical studies and papers demonstrating that in 70% of the cases, the patient actually regains some of their lost sight, leading to a significant impact on the patient's daily living, hence the term restoration therapy. A leader with a substantial IP portfolio of 32 granted patents and 7 pending approval. On its own, with limited real competition, having purchased the only competitor, Sight Science, in 2012. VYCO is the only company with a commercially available, scientifically supported, and FDA-cleared therapy targeted at neurologically induced vision loss. Positive impact on daily living. My vision began coming back after the first month of therapy, and I passed my driving test. I can read normally and enjoy driving my boat on the lake once again. My life is back to normal, quoted a stroke survivor and VRT patient. Clear strategy. NovaVision's strategy introduced a new complementary therapy to provide patients with increased benefit from an expanded NovaVision therapy regime. Significantly reduce the cost of delivery, hardware, patient handling, business processing, and to make it affordable for the new combined therapies into one therapy suite. Create a truly scalable business model to deliver NovaVision's therapies to the mass market. NovaVision's Neuro Eye Coach. Developed by Professor Josef Seal, who is on the Scientific Advisory Board and is a recognized world leader in compensatory techniques, this therapy does not restore lost vision but helps the patient make the most of what they have left. Supported by several decades of scientific work and clinical data, increases the efficiency of patients' eye movement and retrains the patient's ability to make the most of their remaining vision. Achieves significant improvement in visual search performance and reduction in visual disability. Designed to have a real positive impact on activities of daily living. Highly complementary to the VRT and will be provided in tandem so that 100% of patients experience increased benefit from a combined NovaVision therapy regime. Also has a substantial standalone market of $400 million in the US, $400 million in Europe, and $2.5 billion globally. Therapy offering, present and future. Today, hardware-based delivery mechanisms, heavy clinical involvement and patient handling, manual business process costs. Approximately 70% of patients benefit from VRT, $2,900 for 6 months of VRT therapy only. Tomorrow, internet delivered onto patients' own computers, automated business processes, reducing clinical and patient handling time. Offering VRT and Neuro Eye Coach in one therapy suite, restitution combined with compensation to give 100% of patients increased benefit. $900 for 6 months of VRT and Neuro Eye Coach combined. Lower cost of delivery plus lower cost to patient plus increased benefit to patients equals a scalable model for the mass market. VRT and Neuro Eye Coach. NovaVision is nearing completion of its development plan by largely removing execution risk and making it web deliverable so that VRT development work will be completed by the end of 2014. Complementary therapy, of which recently launched, of which will add further benefits to all patients. A new licensing model, of which includes exploring opportunity to lease devices to rehabilitation centers. These two key developments will make NovaVision's therapy an affordable, scalable, and beneficial regime for all patients. Conclusion. VYCO has 2 distinct businesses with FDA-cleared and commercialized products. Superior technology supported by clinical evidence. Strong IP and limited competition. Market valuation that does not reflect investment to date or potential. Management with a clear strategy to deliver shareholder value with low execution risk profile. Buy Vycor Medical VYCO at 2, price target 8, ROI 300%.